On the evening of December 30th, 1978, an A.W Argosy freight plane set off from Wellington, New Zealand, to investigate a series of UFO sightings which had taken place in the weeks prior around New Zealand's Cook Strait area. Captain Bill Startup was flying the plane with co-pilot Bob Gourd, carrying an Australian TV crew looking to record evidence related to the reports that had been coming in.
Approaching the Clarence River, where the highest concentration of UFOs was sighted on the morning of December the 21st. We're at an altitude of 14,000 feet, and we're on exactly the same route taken by Captain Bell when he encountered those mysterious objects.
They crossed Cook Strait, a stretch of sea separating New Zealand's North and South Islands, and were now flying over the Pacific Ocean, northeast of South Island, towards the town of Christchurch. The TV crew were filming intro material on the lower level of the plane when the captain suddenly called them up to the flight deck, telling them to hurry. The pilots had seen some strange objects in the sky and had already received radar confirmation from Wellington Air Traffic Control.
We've just heard from Wellington radar that we've got an object about a mile behind us and it's following us. Let's hope they're friendly. It's really getting a bit frightening up here. There's a whole formation of unidentified flying objects behind us.
Reporter Quentin Fogarty said that when he reached the flight deck, he saw 5 bright lights in a row off in the distance. He described them as large and brilliant and said that they seemed to pulsate and grow from a small pinpoint to a large balloon size, repeating like this while they were above the town of Kaikoura. The cameraman, who was wearing flight headphones at the time, received a call from ground control, warning them that they were being followed by an unknown object. The captain immediately performed a 360-degree turn to try and catch a glimpse of the UFO, but nobody on board was able to see it. Control, however, could still see the target on their radar, telling them, "Sierra, Alpha, Eagle. You have a target in formation with you. Target has increased in size." Suddenly, everyone could see a big bright light. The navigation lights on the plane had been switched off, so the cameraman could avoid any noise or interference with his recording. The co-pilot allowed the cameraman to take his seat, giving him a clear shot of the flying object, resulting in more than 30 seconds of handheld footage. Unfortunately, its shaky appearance divides those who see it. After this, the captain performed another 360-degree turn, where they lost sight of the UFO, despite air traffic control's insistence that they could still see its echo on their radar. The Argosy lost contact with Wellington Control while off the coast of Banks Peninsula. They were then in contact with Christchurch Control, who also had the object on its radars. Interestingly, or unfortunately, depending on how you judge the incident, later investigation by Captain Startup and an investigating US Navy optical physicist, Dr. Bruce McCarby, found that the Christchurch radar tapes had been deleted, which was apparently a routine procedure. McCarby also later dismissed the proposition that what was filmed was the planet Venus. To support this, it was found that Venus wouldn't have even been visible during the time that the footage was taken. The crew and the passengers of the Argosy landed at Christchurch, where they were then joined by journalist Dennis Grant. Then, at 2:15 a.m, they took to the skies once more. Early into the flight, another UFO appeared. The cameraman watched what he described as a spinning sphere with lateral lines across it. The object appeared unfocused at first, then focused itself, without the cameraman adjusting the lens of his camera. The final phenomena happened later in the flight, as the plane was approaching Blenheim. All aboard the plane witnessed 2 pulsating lights in the sky, one of which suddenly fell about 1,000 feet, creating a blurred streak, leaving this image on a single frame of footage. It then pulled up in a series of short, jerky movements. The story appeared in hundreds of newspapers and media outlets and was shown on television around the world. Despite many comments about the footage being shaky, the failed attempts at debunking or explaining the phenomena away, citing unlikely explanations, such as reflections from fishing boats, mistaking the planet Venus for a UFO, balloons, ball lightning, and many more. This still remains a convincing account, which was not only witnessed by many people on board the Argosy, but has also received backup confirmation by multiple radar sightings on the ground, affirming the presence of strange, unidentified objects sharing the airspace that night. On the 23rd of August 1954, less than 2 months after the events witnessed during Captain James Howard's transatlantic flight from New York to London, a similar sighting was witnessed in Vernon, France, by Mr. Bernard Missouri. He was in the middle of closing his garage door after arriving home at around 1 a.m. when he witnessed a large unidentified object roughly 300 yards ahead of him over the bank of the river that ran through the town. He guesstimated the object was around 300 feet long and described it as luminous, silent, and cigar-shaped, hanging vertically in the sky, eerily still. As he watched in amazement, a smaller disc-shaped object dropped from the bottom end of the huge luminous cigar, suddenly stopping mid-air. With a slight wobble, the disc turned luminous red, surrounded by a bright white halo, and suddenly shot right towards Bernard, gliding silently overhead and continuing off to the southwest. 3 more identical objects followed, one after the other, dropping down, stopping with a wobble, illuminating brilliantly, then speeding off silently, due southwest, over the top of Bernard's home. A few moments passed after the first 4 objects, until a 5th disc-shaped object dropped down, nearly to the level of the riverbank, where it stopped with a wobble and quickly shot off to the north. As this happened, the large luminous cigar's glow began to fade until the object was no longer in sight. When the whole event was reported to the local police, Bernard was informed that he was not the only person to have witnessed the spectacle. An army engineer driving along the southwest side of town, as well as 2 members of the local police force, had also seen the same thing he had. Despite being a significant sighting witnessed by 4 separate people, including police officers and a member of the army, the UFO sighting received very little attention in the press. What do you think happened? Did these people witness secret military technology, or was it something from another world? Is it possible that this story was silenced and held back from the press, perhaps to stop fear from spreading throughout the region?